what you may hear is that when other loan officers do a 1003 or an application, it's an interrogation, meaning that it's question after question in specific order, like page 1 of the 1003, page 2 of the 1003, page 3. And when we go through an interrogation as a consumer, just taking a step back, us as a consumer, when we're going through an interrogation, we know we're kind of in a process. And this is what sprouts up the objection of, hey, wait. Before I give you any information, right? I don't want to do an application. I don't want to commit. I'm just shopping. Do you ever hear that? And again, it's insight of how you're delivering your message and how you're being conveyed within that conversation. And so how do you beat that? How do you combat that? You combat that by making it a casual conversation. You can extract most of the information you really need by being covert and making it into an application. So there's a way of saying the property is your primary. What do you think the value of your home is? When's the last time you refinance? You know, these are all just interrogative questions where you can make it into a conversation like, okay, Jim, the property we're going to talk about today on Memory Lane, this is your primary home, right? Got it. And when was the last time you applied for a refinance or looked at your credit report? And what this does is it gives you an idea if they're shopping, right? Or the last time they refinance. It answers so much, but it gives me the insight of where they're at mentally. And when I say there, I'm talking about the prospect. And so if they tell me like, oh yeah, I've been applying for the last 2 months, well, that gives me a red flag that something's wrong. How come you haven't completed the refinance, right? Or they might say, oh, I just did an inquiry. Last time I looked at my credit was this time last year. Well, then it gives me an opportunity to then ask them more questions. Okay, cool. If you appraised your property today, what do you think the house would come in at? And then this gives them an idea of, again, it's just a conversation where I'm just saying what's the estimated value of the property. We're actually saying if you appraised your home today, what do you think the value would be? And ultimately what you're doing is finding out how much research they know. And if they say they don't know, then this positions you as the expert because you can then follow up and say, you know what, no worries. I actually have this real neat report in my system. It's going to show you what local properties are selling for right now. And on this report, it's pretty cool because it actually tells you the school rating of your school district in case that's important. But anyways, I'll make sure to email that to you so that way at least you know what your property would appraise for if you did an appraisal today. But besides that, are you in the midst of any construction on the home, like any projects? Like, is there any open walls in the house? And what you're doing is you're finding what red flags can pop up, because a lot of people, they'll do applications when they're in the midst of doing construction on their home, and this creates fires in the midst of the process. And so the goal is really you're being proactive by kind of figuring out what the red flags are, but it's coming off in a way where you're going straight to the bare bones. And the bare bones of a loan is you have to understand the value, the credit, the capacity, and also title. And then the question about title is like, hey, outside of the mortgage, are there any other liens on your home, like an equity line of credit or a HERO or PACE lien, which are basically like solar panels or home improvement loans? And these are things that are not necessarily caught up front until you go through the process. And so if you find out how to be proactive in a way where you can kind of pinpoint these red flags, not only will you save yourself time, but you're also going to position yourself to get an answer to that, or position yourself as the professional to consult them the answer to that. Does that make sense?